What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2022-23 season. In this one, guys, we're gonna talk about the ultimate Game Week 9 guide. We'll cover some of the top players to sell and buy this week. We'll also talk about our team selection, our transfer plans, our transfer strategies, and we'll end this video with the best captaincy options for Game Week 9. So hit like if you enjoyed the video today, subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel, and let's get on with it. Now we'll start with the top players to buy and sell this week, guys. In terms of first selling players, I think there are a few amount of players that you can sell this week. We'll start with the Arsenal players, guys. We have the likes of Martin Odegaard, who's currently flagged, so we don't know if he's gonna play or not. But in any case, there are better options in midfield in that sort of a price range, guys. You can also go a little higher, and we'll talk about the players to buy in that category. But I think Martin Odegaard is a definite sell. Arsenal is against Tottenham, guys, and then they have Liverpool. Yes, there's the Leeds fixture as well, but then they blank in game week 12 as well. So I think Arsenal players should be sold. If you don't have any other priority transfers, priority moves, I think you can easily phase out the Arsenal players, especially if you already have used your wildcard chip. Now talking about another one, guys, there's William Saliba as well. Now this is very interesting because he's currently the most bought-in player this week, and this is a very different perspective because I am kind of telling you to sell this player this week. I think yes, there could be a lot of owners, there could be a lot of managers buying him this week because of the huge 15-pointer haul that he got against Brentford, guys. But defensively, Arsenal can concede against Tottenham as well. There's a Liverpool game as well, and then you have to navigate that game week 12 blank. So I think there's a potential to kind of go towards different options. I mean, you can go towards a Trippier, for example, who's a great option to buy. You can also go a little cheaper and start investing or start targeting the Crystal Palace players, which are also decent options. Yes, I know that Palace haven't been that great defensively, but the fixtures were quite tough. Now they are going on a good, kind run where they can keep clean sheets. Vieira will have some time with this team, guys, and I think there is potential for clean sheet points with a Guehi, for example, who's quite cheap. In terms of other options, guys, if you have players from Man United, let's say if you have a Rashford, for example, I think there's a potential to sell here. Of course, there are different options you can go for in that price category, but a game against Man City, right now we don't even know whether Rashford is going to start that game or not, guys. I think he's a potential sell. Now coming to other options, guys, and we have a very important one. Now we have Alexander Isak, guys, from Newcastle, who looks to be out for at least a couple of weeks. Now that means, guys, there's probably not a lot of worth in holding him this week, considering that there are options in a Mitrovic, for example. So if you don't have a Mitrovic, I think that's a easy swap. Let's say if you already have a Mitrovic, you have a Haaland in your team, for example, and you're looking for this third striker spot, then you can go for somebody like a Dominic Solanke, guys, if you want to save some money, and he's one of the players that you should buy this week. Let's say if you are going cheaper because you want to afford a Salah, for example, in your team, maybe you're trying to save in money for a Trent, for example, guys. I know a lot of people are jumping out of Liverpool players. I think in that case, Dominic Solanke is quite decent. Yes, Bournemouth is still a relegation threatened team. I mean, they could still do well from an attacking point of view. Dominic Solanke is their main outlet in terms of goals, guys. He's also on penalties. He's a very cheap option. The projected points on most of the fantasy websites for Dominic Solanke ranks him at least in the top 10 in all categories, guys. So I think he's a great option, a great budget option to go for. Now this is great, guys, if you are probably getting that chance or maybe kind of taking that chance of playing that third striker. If you, let's say if you want to play a 3-4-3, for example, or a 4-3-3, then I think Dominic Solanke makes a lot of sense. Now in case if you are looking at an option who you definitely want to play every game week, guys, I think Ivan Toney is another option to kind of go for. But do keep that in mind, guys, that a certain player like an Ivan Toney, for example, he might block you to get a Trent, for example, maybe a different expensive player. Maybe you might not be able to get to a Sterling, for example, if you want to go there, or you might not have enough money for a Salah, for example, considering that he's quite expensive. So keep that in mind. I still feel Ivan Toney is a great option. In my opinion, guys, I think he's a better option than Dominic Solanke. Of course, the price difference is also there, but both players are really, really good. Depending on your strategy, whether you want to save some money, keep that money for a different player, or maybe just have Ivan Toney as an option because he has a great fixture this week. And I think these are the two options that you can buy in terms of replacing Alexander Isak. Now coming to other options to sell, guys, there's also Ivan Perisic, for example. He's facing Arsenal. Again, it could be a tricky game. We've seen that Perisic has also played and featured in the international break for his country, guys, and I think there is a potential to sell Ivan Perisic. There are options in Trippier. If you don't have, let's say for example, James, maybe you're looking to get to a Cancelo or even a Trent, for example. I think if you are in a wild card, especially, I think this is a very easy transfer to make, guys. There are multiple options to go for. You can go cheaper, you can go higher, and depending on again your strategy, I think he's a sell. With so many games coming up, I think his minutes could be managed, his minutes could be affected, and because of this reason, guys, I think there are better options out there who are more nailed for 90 minutes and might give you more points. Now, finishing this section with a couple of players to buy this week, guys. So if you're looking at a midfielder, for example, if you want to target a mid-range sort of a midfielder, I think there are some really good options to go for. I think the one that stands out for me is James Maddison from Leicester City, guys. He's facing Nottingham Forest, who are quite leaky at the back. They concede a lot of chances. They are conceding goals as well. And we've seen that Leicester, yes, they've struggled a lot, but more of it is because of the defensive problems that they have, guys. They can't stop conceding goals. But on the other hand, they're also scoring goals. So I think that spells very good from a Leicester attacking point of view, guys. He's definitely their best attacker at the moment. We've seen that they're still not very clear in terms of which striker to kind of go for. I mean, we've seen Vardy playing a few minutes. We've seen Daka also starting, but there's a lot of uncertainty there. You won't get that with a Maddison, guys. The fixtures are quite kind, so if you want to play for the next 4 or 5 game weeks, I think James Maddison has to be the standout player, guys. We've seen that he has a lot of threat from set pieces as well, so I think he can get a goal from set piece as well, maybe from free kicks, corners, etc. So I think there's a good chance that Maddison will give you good points. And if you're looking at an 8-ish million midfielder, guys, I think James Maddison has to be your pick. Now let's say, guys, if you already have James Maddison and you're looking at a different option in a slightly cheaper price category, guys, I think Wilfried Zaha from Crystal Palace is also a great option to go for. Now this week it's against Chelsea. There is no denying that fact. There is no guarantee that he cannot score against Chelsea, guys. I think he's a great option even against Chelsea because their defense is still not very tight. Yes, the expectation is that Potter is gonna make that defense a lot tighter, but Wilfried Zaha, he's a standout man for Crystal Palace, guys. There's a lot of attacking potential with him. If Crystal Palace are gonna get something from an attacking point of view, guys, I think Wilfried Zaha will be highly involved. So I think from that perspective, he's also on penalties, by the way. So there are a lot of points, there are a lot of potential points for a Wilfried Zaha, guys. The fixtures after Chelsea are really good. So if you are looking at an option, let's say if you don't have a wild card, for example, guys, and if you're looking at a standout option in midfield apart from Maddison, for example, I think Wilfried Zaha is a great option to go for. Now between Maddison and Zaha, I still prefer Maddison, but if you want to double up on both, get both of them in your team, guys, I think they're great options to go for right now, guys. Now talking about the last player to buy this week, guys, it's Mo Salah. It's the most important player to buy this week. Now this view or this idea might be conflicting to a lot of FPL managers, which is absolutely fine. So let's say if you have somebody like a KDB, for example, let's say if you are not having your wild card, then I think this is not a transfer that you really have to make. I mean, the expectation is that Salah is gonna play really well. It's against Brighton. Brighton don't have Potter right now. Klopp would have got some time to analyze his tactics, analyze the structure, see what's going wrong. We've also seen that Salah has got an extended rest in this international break, guys, so he will be fresh. There's a lot of chatter in terms of what his position is going to be, whether Darwin Núñez is going to play, whether it's going to be Jota, because depending on which player plays in that striker position, guys, his position in the team might change. Especially when Jota plays, for example, I think there is a lot of tendency for Salah to kind of play centrally and kind of come inside, which kind of really bodes well from an FPL point of view. On the other hand, let's say if he's playing with a Darwin Núñez, for example, I think there's a tendency for him to play wide, and that's what we've seen so far. So yes, there are still doubts and there's still caveats in terms of what Salah can do, guys. But let's say if you are in a wildcard, guys, I think it's a great punt to go for. I mean, I can't believe that I'm saying that Salah is a great punt to kind of go towards, but I think he's a great option if you are wildcarding. I mean, a lot of people would have either Son or KDB. Most of them would be kind of having KDB in their teams, and I think that could be really beneficial, considering that KDB and Man City are facing a tricky Man United side who have looked a lot better defensively. Though I'm not saying that KDB and Haaland and even Man City, for example, they cannot score against Man United because the game is at home, guys, and there's a lot of potential in Man City. But I think Salah could have a slightly higher haul this week, guys. Now these were the players to buy and sell this week, guys. Do let me know in the comments below what players are you targeting to buy and sell for Game Week 9. Now let's talk about a team for Game Week 9, guys. This is how our team is looking for Game Week 9. Currently we have 3.8 million in the bank, so that's a lot of money. Right now we have Raya in goal, guys. I'm not very concerned with Raya. It's against Bournemouth. There is a potential clean sheet in there, though Bournemouth have looked okay in attack. And yes, they can definitely score goals, but I think I'd probably keep Raya till I'm gonna use the wildcard, guys. And spoiler alert, I'm not using the wildcard in Game Week 9. I still have it left, and I'm eyeing that Game Week 13 wildcard right now. Now, in terms of our defense, guys, we have Trippier, Cancelo, Neco Williams, and James, who all have decent fixtures. Yes, Cancelo is facing Man United, who could still score, but I think Cancelo has great alternatives to points potential, guys. I mean, he can get a goal, he can give you an assist. If Man City have a good defense against Man United, I think he can also kind of feature into bonus points. So there's a lot of potential with Cancelo. I'm not very concerned. There's Trippier, Neco Williams. I think all of them are really, really good options. Even James, from an attacking potential, guys, I think he's a great option to go for. So I'm not very concerned in terms of the back four. Now, if you see the bench, guys, you would see Andres Pereira, and that's also an option that I can play this week. The game is against Newcastle, but it's a Fulham home game, and I think Fulham at home are a different side, a different beast altogether. And because of that, I think I can even play Andres Pereira instead of a Neco Williams. But I think it's pretty sorted at the moment in terms of our defense. Now, coming to the midfield, guys, it's a light midfield in terms of having Martinelli, Bailey, and Kevin De Bruyne in our team, guys. All three are decent options to go for. I know not a lot of people would go there, but guys, I think Bailey against Leeds could also be a decent option to go for. I mean, I would probably not suggest you to buy Bailey by going all the way, but I think if you are downgrading, if you are maybe making money for a Salah, maybe a different option in attack, maybe let's say a Harry Kane, for example, I think that's also a viable strategy, and you want some money, and you can easily downgrade that fourth midfielder to an Bailey, who has decent fixtures in the next few. I think Leeds also, they have a tendency to concede a lot of goals. I think this is where Bailey could be a very interesting pick. Now we have Martinelli against Tottenham. This could be a difficult game for Martinelli, but let's say if Tottenham would play front-foot football, if let's say Martinelli is playing on the counter or Arsenal are playing on the counter, I think he's the one to target. It's not Saka, it's not Gabriel Jesus. It definitely would be Martinelli, guys. And there could be an odd goal for Martinelli in this game, but I think he's still a decent option to go for. I don't expect him to get a big haul, guys, but I think he'll stick along decently well this week. Now, in terms of our third option, we have Kevin De Bruyne, guys. I'm kind of resisting the temptation to go Salah this week, which I think a lot of people are kind of talking about. It's not a priority transfer. I mean, yes, I can still do that move, but I think a Son against Arsenal might be a better option, guys. Nevertheless, I'm not really thinking of changing Kevin De Bruyne at the moment, guys. I do have 2 free transfers, so I can definitely make that switch. But currently, I'm still on KDB for this week. Now, in terms of attack, guys, we have Haaland, Tony, and Gabriel Jesus. All three are really good options. Haaland against Man United, I'm still very confident in a return against Man United. And that's why he's also on captaincy at the moment. If I had a Son, Kane, or maybe even a Salah, guys, those are potential different options you can go for. But I still feel Haaland would be highly captain this week, guys, and I think that's still a decent option to kind of look towards. Now we have Ivan Toney. I think a lot of people are also thinking of buying Ivan Toney this week. The fixture is slightly trickier in the short term, but I think Ivan Toney against Bournemouth could do really well. We have Gabriel Jesus. We know that he can do well. I mean, it's still kind of debatable in terms of how Arsenal would perform against top teams, and this is the second test after Man United. So I think we'll get to know what Gabriel Jesus is doing. I'm definitely not taking him out this week. Now, in terms of the 2 free transfers that I have, guys, I think there's some variations that I can kind of go towards. Now, the first option is that I have Pascal Gross on my bench, guys. He's currently last on my bench. I can easily take him out. I have enough money to go towards a Madison. I think that's definitely going to be one of the moves that we're doing this week, guys. So he's going to go out. Pascal Gross is going to go out. James Madison is going to come in. And we can play James Madison instead of Neco Williams. So essentially, it'll become a 3-4-3, guys, with Madison, an additional player in midfield. I necessarily don't have to play Gabriel. I mean, I can put Andres Pereira first on the bench. That's not going to be a problem. So I have one more free transfer. There's certain moves that I can make, guys. I can definitely upgrade a Martinelli to a Zaha. But I think next week, it might be a better move to kind of go towards. I still have 2 free transfers next week, and I can easily take out Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli and maybe go for a Zaha and maybe get towards a Mitrovic, for example, guys. Yes, I can still do this move this week, guys, but I think this decision will be closer to the deadline. Currently, it's basically Pascal Gross to James Madison and banking the other free transfer. So these are my thoughts on the team for Game Week 9, guys. Do let me know what transfers you're planning for Game Week 9 in the comments below. Now let's talk about captaincy for Game Week 9, guys. Now this could be one week where we might get away with not captaining Haaland, guys. Erling Haaland has Man United at home. Now at home, it could still be a great fixture, a good haul for Haaland, and he can still score against the Man United defense, who have definitely improved over the last few weeks. But in case if you want to do something different, in case if you want to go somewhere else, guys, we also have Mo Salah against Brighton. Now Brighton, yes, they have started the season really, really well, but the biggest loss of Brighton is Graham Potter, guys. It's a Potterless side, and I think we're still yet to see what will happen with Brighton. But I think against Brighton at home, Mo Salah could have a decent game, guys. So he's the alternate. So let's say if you have an alternate option in Mo Salah, I think he's a great option to captain this week. I think James Maddison against Nottingham Forest, guys. I know not a lot of people are talking about him, but he's a great option against a Forest side who can concede a lot of goals. We've seen that Leicester do not struggle in terms of creating chances and scoring goals. Yes, they're conceding a lot of goals, but I think in terms of scoring goals, guys, I think Maddison is still the best option out there. He's the best Leicester player to kind of target. And against Forest, I think he could be a great differential captaincy punt. Let's say if you want to do something different, or let's say if you don't have a Salah and you probably don't want to go towards Erling Haaland because of the fixture against Man United. Now, in case if you don't have Maddison, for example, guys, and you don't plan to get him, I think there's also an option in Ivan Toney. It's against Bournemouth. Bournemouth have slightly improved defensively, but they're still quite poor in terms of conceding goals, guys. I mean, they're conceding a fair few amount of chances. They're conceding a lot of goals still. And I think it's still a defense to target in terms of your attackers, guys. Ivan Toney, we've seen that he's in great form. He's creating chances. He's scoring goals. He's also on penalties. He's the main man for Brentford, guys. I think he's a great option to captain this week as well. The only kind of thing that puts me off Ivan Toney is that it's an away fixture for Brentford, so it's a home fixture for Bournemouth. I think that is where I slightly like Maddison more than Ivan Toney. In case if you want to go for another differential, I know not a lot of people would like this, but I think Kevin De Bruyne is also a decent option to go for. We've seen that he's the creative engine in that Man City team, guys, and I think he's a great option to target. In case if you don't want to go Erling Haaland, I still kind of don't understand the reason why you would probably not want to go Erling Haaland if you're targeting a Man City option, but I think Kevin De Bruyne as a differential option is still good for FPL points. He can still create chances, get a decent haul. He might not have the same goal threat as last season, guys, but he's still a decent option to go for. So what do you think about captaincy? Who are you planning to captain in game week 9? Do let me know. So that'll be all from my side for this video, guys. I hope you liked this ultimate guide game week 9 video. Hit like if you enjoyed the video today, guys. Do subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel for more FPL related content. Now, we have not covered the wildcard draft or guides in this video, guys. There'll be a separate video that will be coming tomorrow in terms of the game week 9 wildcard. So if you are wildcarding in game week 9, watch out for that, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in Saners next time.